Oof. So, good morning. It's 21 degrees. Today's Monday, just a few days before Christmas Eve. 21 degrees outside. I'm making my way to the park in Brooklyn to run/walk, or maybe just walk. This has become part of my routine. It took me about 60 days to kind of get started with this new routine. This year, the past few years since the pandemic, I've been really focused on having some consistency around exercise, around movement. Over the years, I've gotten into a couple different things. I never considered myself to be an athlete. I'm an actor, which, you got to be able to move, be expressive. So I think that vocation by default allows you to have self-awareness. It makes you conscious of what's going on mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. But yeah, I've been focused on some type of movement many, many years before the pandemic. Got introduced to Bikram yoga, which I love doing. I love the hot style of yoga. Not the man who originated that particular branch of yoga, but the yoga itself was really, really instrumental in allowing me to experience how my body can transform and improve with consistent movement, with consistency, just in general. And this year, or in the years during the pandemic, my movement of choice at the time was doing jump rope things, which was cool. That was another discovery. I think I stumbled on the Jump Rope Dudes YouTube channel, and I was like, oh, jumping rope. I wanted to find something that I could do easily that didn't necessarily require a gym. I've never really been a gym rat. I'd like to lift weights and stuff, and I know there's value, and I'm gonna get there at some point, but I knew I needed to have some kind of default exercise that was simple for me to do and to implement very easily. As easy, just making it as easy as possible as someone who wasn't exercising on the regular. You need to find something that you need to create habits, right? And I guess preceding the actual exercising, I read the book or listened to the audio book by James Clear, Atomic Habits, which is a really, really great book just about creating new habits, and gives you practical tools to really implement things that may not be present now. Because we all have our own habits, whether they're conscious or not conscious. We're all, following some type of programming. And if we're not being intentional about it on a day-to-day, you're gonna, whatever results you experience is because what you're already doing. And I knew there were times in my life when I was super sedentary and I needed to move. I needed to I just felt my body aching, when I was working a day job and a desk job, and a lot of people do. I wasn't motivated to get up, go to the gym in the mornings. My lifestyle was different then. Talk about that at some point. But basically, I spent a lot of time sitting behind a desk, working pretty much Monday through Friday. Wasn't doing any exercise at that time. And, started putting on weight. When your body starts to feel sluggish or a certain way, it's hard to imagine it feeling differently when that becomes your norm. But for people who exercise on the regular, who have transformed their bodies, they know that's not the case. It's not like a static thing. But if you spent a long time not exercising, and maybe some people are in that boat now, you gotta find a way to change. So mentally, I read Atomic Habits by James Clear. It had a major impact on me around creating a habit around exercise. And I listened to that book right around the pandemic. One of the major things I took away from the book was the relationship to habits to your personal identity. Like, who we are is a function of what we do. And if we want to change our results, we have to change our activities. If we want to change our activities, we got to change our thoughts. We got to change and adapt our self-image of ourselves. We got to mentally make shifts and create a new identity. Because at the time, before I read that book, I never identified as someone who exercised regularly. That just wasn't a part of my identity. So I knew that I needed to change my identity. And the book really talks about that, how you do that, with micro habits, taking baby steps. Like when I decided I was going to exercise in the park. But the first day it was just grab my sneakers, put them on, walk to the park, walk back home. The next day, get up, put on my sneakers, walk back to the park, bring the rope with me, maybe jump for a minute, go back, and on and on and on. You keep building. And over time, once you start creating a habit, just showing up to the place where you want to do the exercise or whatever. And then you're like, all right, maybe I'll do something small, And then you keep building on that with consistency. And then next thing you know, it's jumping rope for me was very hard in the beginning, personally. I could barely jump. I ached. I had to take a break for a minute. But slowly over time, it started to get easier. I felt better doing it. And that's the thing. It's when it comes to altering your physical habits and patterns, it takes time. But if you show up consistently over time, it just, things start to, you grow, you adapt, your body changes. And I'm experiencing that right now with running because, again, I never considered myself a runner. I hadn't run in years, and it was I had all these stories around running in my head, right? Because I've had injuries in the past. I broke my ankle a long time ago. Separate time, I tore my quadricep tendon, had to have surgery to repair all those things, do rehab, physical therapy, all that. But I was oh, now I can't run, all of these excuses, basically. The body is capable of a lot. And, if you're taking on any kind of exercise program, you haven't exercised, obviously it makes sense to listen to your body, check in with your doctor, make sure whatever new activity you might be trying to take on is good. But all of that to say, your body can adapt. Even if you don't believe it can. Our bodies are amazing. We're designed to move. And as someone who wasn't moving, who's now moving, the difference is I talk about the pain of exercise and showing up every day versus the pain of being sedentary. There are different types of aches and pains, and I'd rather have the soreness of a workout than other things, because we got to take care of our vessels. So I started walking, I want to say 60 to 80 days ago. That came in tandem with another book, I be listening to books. Mostly I listen to audiobooks. I don't read as many physical books these days. Not that I'm opposed to it, and I probably will. I think there's something about the visual learning, but for those who have busy schedules, who are on the move, Audible is great. I'm aware that the public library has some kind of resource where you can listen to audiobooks. So if you don't want to spend money for Audible or Amazon, I love Audible personally. But if you don't want to do that, apparently you can get a library card or some kind of account. I got to look into that too, and have access to audios. But the other audio that was instrumental was the book Atomic Habits, yes, by James Clear. The other book is The Morning Miracle by Hal Elrod. And that book he has a bunch of different titles around that brand, The Morning Miracle. But the original one, and there's one for entrepreneurs, but basically the same concepts. It's about developing a morning routine. I recommend that audio as well. Hal Elrod, the author, he has two major kind of like milestone events that pushed him to create what became The Morning Miracle. He had a traumatic car accident. You can read all about it. He tells the story in detail. And then he also he overcame that, a terrible car accident where he had to recover physically. And then he had a cancer scare, which also kind of pushed him to figure out, all right, what are the things that he needed to do holistically to put himself in the best position to overcome and beat that as well.
Right.
And he developed this morning routine with implementing a couple things that he didn't invent, but he did major research, basically seeing what are some of the activities that high performance athletes or people who just were great in different fields did. And he broke it down to a bunch of different things, which he created an acronym called SAVERS, which is silence, affirmations, visualizations, exercise, reading, and scribing, basically journaling or writing. Each one of these tools individually on its own can be a powerful instrument for change, And I had some exposure to a lot of these things, versus especially the writing and the journaling and scribing, and a lot of these sort of tools I use inherently as an actor to build stories and use my imagination to create characters and to live truths and to act truthfully. But the SAVERS routine, basically, he decided, instead of just doing any one of those things, which, sorry, I might have shut off the video by accident, hitting a button, but with Hal Elrod, with The Morning Miracle, any of those individual routines in the SAVERS acronym could easily be a powerful tool. He was like, well, what if I did all of them and created a routine where he did all of them every day? And his life transformed. So this was something I was like, all right, I need to implement this, because there's a mental aspect of creating habits and showing up that's important. And that exercise component, for him, he got into running. That's not really why I did that, but basically, you could do any kind of exercise if you implement the routine. But I was like, all right, well, cool. I'm gonna go to the park. I'm gonna walk every day. I'm gonna get it in. I'm gonna do what I need to do to keep showing up for myself daily. And as I started walking around the park, I would see people running past me and stuff, and I hadn't run in a while. And I was like, all right, well, let me see if I can run for a minute. If I can run from from this lamppost to the next one. And, I would alternate between running and walking. There's a book that he mentions too. I don't remember the name of it, but if you grab the Miracle Morning, he'll tell you about it. But I think it's like running for non-runners or something like that. But I haven't gotten that book yet. I probably will soon. But my goal initially, although I always admired people who ran, anytime the New York City Marathon was around, I would stand and cheer people on, because it's just such an incredible day. The New York City Marathon is like one of the most positive days in New York City. You see strangers cheering other strangers on, doing something that is such a challenge and that many people may or may not get the chance to do. So, I just decided, I'm like, I want to run, just because I noticed, I see people of different ages, different body types, different fitness levels running past me in the park, and I'm like, what would happen if I ran consistently? If I actually showed up and just did the loop, ran the loop in the park, doing my little 3.7, 3.8, 4 miles, walking there, walking back is part of it too. So as long as I'm moving and doing it on a daily basis, that was the thing, right? So I was like, all right, I'm gonna do that. And, started walking, walk, running. Then all of a sudden, things started getting easier. And, I started, in the beginning, it was like, oh, this hurts a little bit, or not even hurts, but just like it's uncomfortable. You're not used to it. Or I can't run as fast as I mentally would want to. The ego jumps in. But I'm like, let me just see if I can just run for a bit, be consistent. And sure enough, very quickly, it started to, I could see improvements, and but I think it's just about the consistency. But the morning miracle was like a deep part of it, because it's this creating this habit, creating this morning routine that was everything. It was just like kind of a foundation to the day. It helped mentally, it's like it whatever things that I was going through on a particular day, my morning miracle, my morning routine kind of helped me stay in a grounded place and in a positive space to deal with stuff. And so the morning miracle, I did it for 30, 60 days in a row as well. I did have a fall off period personally, and sometimes that happens, but even though I fell off doing the morning miracle, I still was doing the daily exercise, which was one of the parts of it. And that was one of the things that I was grateful for, because the habit, after 60 days of doing something every day, day in, day out, you becomes a habit, right? You don't have to think about it. You feel strange when you don't get up and do it, So highly recommend that book. Those two books, Atomic Habits, Morning Miracle. Basically, just wherever you are in life, if you're not satisfied with whatever you're doing and you want to make a change, and maybe you don't necessarily know how, it's you're basically doing something every day, and whatever you're doing currently might not be taking you where you need to be, or you just know there might be a better way, or you might want to make a change. But those two books in tandem have kind of helped me in just these basic areas. Word up. But yeah, so I'm turning the camera on. I'm gonna upload to my channel. Been inspired to do that, and gonna get it in. Oof, it is cold out here. Well, I'm about to start getting this run on. I'm gonna say peace and blessings. Thanks for tuning in. If you've seen this video, please like, subscribe, comment, all of that helps the channel. I'm trying to get things started, get the channel popping, more views, more exposure, and I think I want to add this as a passive income stream. And yeah, that's why I'm on here. So I hope I deliver some value. Always, just trying to share whatever's going on as I'm trying to explore things and figure things out. But yeah, have a great day. Peace and blessings. You're alive, you're here. Take a moment to be silent, reflect, affirm the things that you want, not the things that you don't. Affirm what you want to change, what you're grateful for. And, be the light in the world that this world needs, There's only one of you and you have a purpose, even if you haven't figured out what that is yet. But being your authentic self and becoming, who you are and meeting your potential. I feel like that's what we're here to do personally. But much love, peace and blessings, and catch you soon.